page 95. I would like to thank the Penkin family for hosting the shiur today. And today we're going to speak about subject called Shevach Gzeila, 95 in Tractate Bava Kamma, 7 lines from the top of the page. We talked in the past about stealing an item and improving that item. For example, someone stole a movable object, let's say animal, and it turns to be a pregnant animal. Someone stole an animal and he basically fixed the animal, sheared the wool, painted, did all kind of improvement. Upon returning the stolen item, how far you impose upon the robber, the thief, to return. In one hand, you want to return as much as you can the original item to its owner. On the other hand, there is a space between the value that that item worth originally and the current value of that item and the benefit of in between. So the Mishnah tells us, Gazal para me'uberet ve'yalda. If the robber stole, for example, a pregnant cow, it doesn't need to be pregnant cow per se, but it can be any animal. But in that case, the animal, the cow, gave birth while the robbers hold it. It's in the robber's possession. So here we need to have a special evaluation. The Mishnah said he needs to pay the value of the cow before delivery, which is a standard amount of money. And then we need to talk about the space in between, meaning the benefit. How far you impose upon the robber that hold that item to pay back. Tanu Rabbanan. הגוזל רחל וגזזה, פרה וילדה, משלם אותה ואת גיזותיה ואת ולדותיה, דברי רבי מאיר. So here the Ravad in Rashba explains that the Rabbi Meir said if someone stole an ur and sheared it, or a cow and gave birth, he need to pay the shear wool or it and its offspring. So it means, so everything including the improvement that took place while he's in the state of the robber, he must pay it back. And as Rashi said, soon the Gemarrah is going to explain and elaborate why, but that's the view of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda אומר, גזלה חוזרת בעיניה. Meaning the cow, or whatever the ewe, whatever the animal is, return as is. But the improvement, we can have a monetary evaluation, and that monetary evaluation you have to pay. So it means the animal, okay, we all agree that the animal needs to return as is, either sheared, empty, etc. But the difference, that's a different story. Although the wool of offspring belongs to the robber, who acquired them to the change of the animal, as we talked in the past a lot, the whole idea of shinui koneh, the idea of changing an estate. Someone stole a car, God forbid, right? And he drove the car and he created a collision or whatever it is. In a way, he acquired the car. He holds the responsibility while he had it. Okay? God forbid, someone kidnaps someone. He is responsible for those entities at the time that he holds it. So therefore, even it was wrong, but it changed the status. So Rabbi Meir imposed the penalty and required the robber to return the item of to the robbery victim, so the robber will not benefit from the robbery. But as far as the Rabbi Yehuda is concerned, he talked about monetary compensation, not necessarily the exact, because as far as the shvach, as far as the improvement, he argued and he said that you do not have a fine, a knas, upon the improvement. For our simple day-by-day language, someone, Reuven, stole a car for Shimon, and he improved the car, he put a lot of things there, etc., etc. So the car has a total different value. So now you ask him to return and that's it. But when it's come to animal and he did improvement, for example, he sheared it, he used the wool, etc., etc., then you can talk about compensation, but not the exact one that was taken, not the animal itself, but the improvement. רבי שמעון אומר, רואים אותה כאילו הוא שומה אצלו בכסף. Rabbi Shimon hold that the stolen item is viewed as it was total appraised by professional, meaning we take a monetary appraisal and you go by the moment of the crime, the moment of the robbery, and the robber needs to pay that amount. In a sense, imagine, he said, Sunday the item was stolen. So Sunday at whatever it is, let's say 11 o'clock, imagine that appraisal was there that gave said this is the value of the animal on Sunday at 11 o'clock. And therefore, all the things that happen afterward, it's a different story. Ibaya lehu. Now, the rabbi in the Beit HaMidrash tried to elaborate first on the view of Rabbi Meir. My ta'amei de Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir said that he needs to return both the offspring and what it sheared. Mishum de kasavar shinui bimkomo omer. Because he hold that despite the change item remains in its place. So the idea is, when it changed, the animal always remained in the possession of the robbery victim, and consequently any increase in the value belongs to them. Or Dilma, or may perhaps you think the other way, Be'alma shinui koneh. Usually you go and you said that they want to acquire item to the change of the status. But the hacha knasa hu dekanis. But here is a special penalty. The rabbis impose upon a person in order, which call it choten niskar, that the sinner should not gain anything out of committing a crime. L'may nafkamina, the other way around. The difference is if lehicha dekachasha mikhash. If it's the other way around, if it's a devalue of the animal. So now you don't impose upon him to pay the devaluation. Now, if you tell me that it's can change, Rashba said, for example, you feed the animal. So now you require him, he put the animal in such a condition that the animal did not eat or whatever it is. Now, can we impose upon him that he needs to pay the difference in order to improve the body structure, the fatness of the animal? Tashma. Here is the Braita. We're going to study Mr. Shem in the next page, 96b. Gazal behema vehizkina. The robber stole an animal, and now the animal aged. Avadim vehizkinu. He stole a slave that was capable to do work, and now it's old. Old meaning it's de-evaluation of that entity. So therefore, there is a kinyan, there is a matter of change in the ownership. Meshalem kishat hagzeila, which means that the devaluation in age, meaning you cannot return the days, the age of that person, the strength of that person. So you have to evaluate at the moment that they are good and well and young. Rabbi Meir אומר בעבדים, אומר לו הרי שלך לפניך. Rabbi Meir hold, look, when it's come to slave, he says, here is the stuff, stole, take it as is. Unfortunately, those who dealing with, we talked the other day with guys, a landlord, so many times you give a house, apartment to tenants in the best condition, and for all kind of reasons, they leave a mess, right? And it says, here is they break your head with this, right? So in that sense, okay, be thankful, I return the items, goodbye, right? So therefore, since you say that karka einan nigzeret, you cannot steal an estate, that is the old statement we said many times, based on the many sources we talk about it in the Kiddushin 22 and many other places in the Shas. So therefore, said here you take the slave and move on. ואילו בהמה קישת הגזלה, ויסגרתך סבר מאיר שני במקום עומד, אפילו בהמה נמי. So it means that take whatever it is, and that's it. אלא עליו שמע מינה, כסבר רבי מאיר שינוי קונה, ואח הקנס הוא דקניס. So here you hold that Meir said that the change of the item basically acquire the item due to the change, but when it comes to a stolen animal, that as a result you have here the animal that is shorn, gave birth, so therefore when you have a payment of the wool of the offspring is a penalty, which he penalized the robber, so that the robber will not benefit from the increased value of the stolen item. So it means you don't want to have the sinner, as we said earlier, choten iskar, the robber, the thief, to gain something out of this crime. Amrei Rabbi Meir, לדבריהם דרבנן כמה לו, לדידי שינוי אין קונה. ואפילו בהמה, אלא לדחוד המריאות הוא שינוי קונה, עוד עולים מיד בעבדה, דחי מקרקעי דמי. So again, the key is he hold that the slave is holding the same as a estate, and therefore because the legal status is like a regular real estate, and we said many times that the real estate cannot be stolen, וקרקע אינה נגזלת, so therefore ואמרי לרבנן לא עבדה כמטלטלין. The sage disputed and they said no, the legal status of a slave is the same as a movable property. Movable property, so it's a different story. So it means the moment that one stole him, so he acquired that person, so he needs to go back the time that it was stolen, and that's the evaluation needs to pay. So Tashma. So now we'll bring a proof from the following Mishnah. If someone give a wool to לצבוע לו אדום וצבעו שחור. So if one gave wool to a dyer and he asked him to paint it red and he dyed black, שחור וצבעו אדום. To remind me one time long ago when I was in New Jersey, I went to a barber, and a fellow brought his son, and he wants his son to have a dyeing hair, young boy. And the guy asked to do it some like purple, and he did it red, and the father refused to pay him because he said, I told you, I left the shop and I came back, and that's the color I asked you to paint, right? So he said here, he did something not the way he was asked. שחור וצבע אדום. רב מאיר אומר נותן לו דמי צמרו. Rab Meir said, if you ma'avir al ba'al bayit, if you didn't do exactly the way we asked to, so you have to pay the amount of the value of the wool, because you basically violated the owner's wishes. Ein דמי צמרו שבחו לו, but the improvement not, ויסגרתך סבר רב מאיר שינוי קונה, ודמי צמרו שברו בעלי מי תבלה, רב שמע מינה, כסבר רב מאיר שינוי קונה, ואחר כנסה ודקניס שמע מינה. So in short, as the Rosh explained, many others, the Rashi here is basically a penalty. And when it's come to penalty, it's a different story. The case of a cow that give birth, or the oar that was shorn, the payment of offspring of fool is a penalty which will penalize the robber. Now, Shema Mina, as we said twice, it means that's the final statement. Ika de Amri, that's another view. We said, Ha lo ibayalan, we never have an issue with that, mid apich Rav vetani, because Rav switched it in the Gemarrah in 96b, those Tanaics view, when we are talking about animals or slaves that was stolen and aged, and that's the way he taught us. And he said, Gazal either behima or para veizkina, avadim veizkinu, mishalem kishat agzila divrei Rab Meir. So again, you go back to the time that was stolen, Rab וחברים אומרים כעבדים, אומר לו הרי שלך לפניך. ודאי לרבי מאיר שינוי קונה, ואחר כנסה הוא דקניס לי, כי כאיבאי להנהייך דאיבאי לה כי כניס במזיד. Which means, when Rabbi Meir imposed a special penalty, we hold that he acquired by making a shinui for that gzeila, for that stolen item, only when the robber did it with a full intent. Aval beshogeg, but when it was unintentionally, which means a person purchased from the robber the cow without knowing that that cow is a stolen cow. And therefore, the next thing is that cow improved. He fed her, he cut her, he dyed her, whatever he did with that cow. So therefore, Ibn Yoshua challenged that view, but the idea is it was unintentional improvement by uninformed buyer. Lokanis, so Rabbi Meir did not impose a penalty. Or Dilma, afilu b'shogeg namin kanis. Rabbi Meir said, I hold that he hold penalty regardless. He needs to return, and any improvement that took place, you have to give it back to its original owner. Tashma. So we try to extrapolate and bring a source to make it less ambiguous, more lucid, from the following Braita. Chamisha govin mina mechorarim. We have here a case of 5 different type of people that owe monetary claim or debt that we collected only from unsold property, which is property that is still in possession of its owner and is not being sold in the meantime. Ve'eluen peirot, one who require payment for a produce. Tosfot and other is the Braita, it's differently, but anyway. Ushvach perot, as we said, that enhance the value of the produce. So there is if you remember, we studied in Gittin 48b, so that's the Tikkun HaOlam, Mציעא 14 elaborate, but anyway, והמקבל עליו לזון בן אשתו או בת אשתו, someone married someone, and part of the commitment when he was high or whatever it is, he commit himself to take care of his step children, meaning that wife bringing children from a previous marriage, and he commit himself to pay all the expenses for those children that he's basically the step. Number 4, וגט חוב שאין בו אחריות. Here we talk about a promissory note that is no property guarantee, which we talk about a document that does not explicitly state that all the properties of the debtor will serve to guarantee payment of the debt. Number 5, וכתובת אישה שאין בה אחריות. In women's marriage contract, there is no property guarantee. מה היא שמעת לדאמר? אחריות לאו טעות סופר היא. Which means the guarantee of a sale from a document is not as the sofer described mistake. You assume that the Baal Chov, the one who owed the debt, did it intentionally, and therefore you not collect the debt from those already collateral estates. And we learn the Braita that produce and enhanced value of produce are collected only from unsold property. Hey Chedami, give me an example. What is the situation that applies? Someone went ahead. The guy, the owner of the field, is out in China. He went ahead and he sold his field to someone else, and the buyer, who's unknown, bought this property, enhanced the value of that property. He basically plowing, he did all the needs for that property. He planted trees. So now the Beit Din rules that he needs to return it to the original owner. So כשהוא גובה, when the purchase collects from the robber who sold him this field, in order to recoup what he had paid, 95b, גובה את הקרן מנכסים משועבדים. Since the seller wrote to the buyer that he have this estate, in a sense, if someone come and collect it, he can return it. So he can collect the principal, what he paid in the field, from the robber's lien property. והשבח מנכסים בני חורין. But whatever is the enhanced value, the value of the improvement, from unsold property, the pag-aaral ושקל הרב שבחי, because the owner came, the owner of that estate, he took both the land and whatever enhanced from. You talk about someone who's uneducated, who figured out that he doesn't know the whole concept of karka in an exelet. So that's a different story. You talk about unintentionally is also you put a penalize. You have to talk here about the Torah scholar that is very familiar and he knew that the robber has no right to sell the land, and as a consequence the penalize is required to return the enhanced value of the land as well. Tosfot asks, why he collect the shevach, the improvement, from nechasim bnei chorim? For example, talk about Ravon Shimon Levi, if you remember we used that name. So Levi have a shvach bakarka, so he collected the govem Reuven nechasim bnei chorim. The Gemarrah Bava Meci'ah said that if he doesn't know that karka gzula, so the big question is, the Gemara asks, is that matana, is that a gift, is that pikadon? So Tosfot explained over there that you talk only bli achrayut, without guarantee. Because if you talk about achrayut, it's a different story. So therefore, kesef govem mikulam shobadim, v'shevach minchasim nechorim, that's the idea. Anyway, Tashma, לצבוע לו שחור, לצבוע לאדום שחור, שחור צבוע אדום רב מאיר אומר בתלמוד בצמרו, you asked to do a certain color, you did a different color, you didn't fulfill exactly the wishes of the, so he basically avar al dat, he didn't do it exactly the way the owner of the wool asked you to do, so therefore you have kniya b'shinui, you have a purchase by this changing of the state, and דמי צמרו אין, דמי צמרו ושבחו לא, ויסקל לדעת בשביל דם מכניס, דמי צמרו ושבחו בעל אמת ועלי. So it means that the person who died needs to pay the owner of that wool both the value of the made tzemer, the wool, and the shevach, the improvement. So in short, you impose only if it was intentional, if it's not intentional, it's a different story, and Rashi here elaborates. Rabbi Dr אומר, גזלה חוזרת בעיניה, which means Rabbi Dr hold that when it's come to the stolen item is returned, and you return it to original owner as is, meaning you go the original time of the stealing. Rabbi Shimon אומר אותה כאילו שומה אצלו בכסף. Rabbi Shimon hold that the stolen item view had been monetarily appraised at the time of the robbery. So here the difference is all the improvement that took place at the time of the stolen item, which means when it was all kind of improvement to that stolen item and it was in a possession of the robber, so when you bring it back, the question is, can he keep all the enhancement or not? Rabbi Dr said that it belonged to the one who robbed. Rabbi Shimon said the gazlan. So Rabbi Shimon said it belongs to the robber. So the whole school of thought, it's a total different school of thought. How you treated the Rashba and Tosfot, the Rabbi Peretz, Ramban, many others try to explain how exactly you evaluate ערך בשעת גזלה, how exactly you evaluate at the time of stealing. ואחר למחצה לשליש ולרביע כמפלגה. רבי יהודה סבר שבח השלה בגזלה כולי דגזל הרי, ורבי שמעון סבר למחצה לשליש ולרביע ודשקי, גזלן. So basically the whole idea of גזל פרה ונתעברה שבח על ידי גזלה, the improvement that took place, that the robber take it, the only difference is according to Rabbi Shimon is half, 1/3, 1/4, depend. רבי יהודה, everything goes to the גזלן, גזל פרה ונתעברה אצלו, רחל נתנה אצלו בגזלה, משלם בקשה לגזלה. ילדה, אין לו ילדה, הדרה בעינה. בישלם על רב זביד, אמר שבח של בגזלן נגזלה והיא, so לרבי יהודה. המאני רבי יהודה היא, לרב פאפה, אמר דגזלנה והיא, לא רבי יהודה ולא רבי שמעון, אמר לרב פאפה, הוא הדין אפילו לילדה נעמה, כי אישה גזלה עוד דין שלם, ותנא ילדה, היא דין נסיב ריש ילדה, נסיב סייף הילדה. תנא כבתי דרב פאפה, רבי שמעון אומר, רואים אותה כאילו היא שומה אצלו בכסף, למחצה לשליש ולרביע. So ההלכה, we basically follow Rav Papa, and basically follow the idea of Rabbi Yehuda, that the שבח על ידי גזלה, you give it to גזלן, and he get it על ידי שינוי, על ידי change of the status, and therefore, whatever it's reduced from that value, it belongs to the gazlan, to the robber.